Hey guys, I'm Michelle, owner of adreamlife.com and the author of The Street PhD, Book 1, No More Broke Assness, and Book 2, 16 Laws for Gangster Confidence. And both of these books derive from my experience, oppression, and over 40 years interpretation of dealing with narcissists in the many areas of our lives that can be adversely affected through the mistreatment, abuse, psychological, emotional, spiritual, and subconscious programming and abuses that we go through either in a narcissistic home with narcissistic parents and then pushed out into the world with this program and find ourselves attracting, having children with, marrying, working for, and being in all these different relationships with narcissistic people. And so my channel is specifically directed on not only identifying and understanding the narcissist and where the narcissist comes, what the narcissist wants from you, but also getting a clear understanding of this disorder so that we can tackle it in our lives, so that we know what to do, how to respond, and how to react, because this is half the battle. And I really think that when more of us, enough of us, are conscious and aware of this demonic energy, for lack of better words, we'll be able to be more emotionally intelligent, able to control our emotions and not give the narcissist what he or she comes for, and be able to kind of force these people into therapy or correction or whatever it is that they need. But most importantly, not continue to be have our lives disrupted by narcissists. So today I want to discuss the narcissist in court and family court in particular. Me having realized, like they say, hindsight is 20/20, how many narcissists I have been dealing with in my life, and tried to have relationships with, I've learned a lot. And one thing I know for certain is that a lot of people find it shocking, first of all, that they would even end up in family court. Family court is one of the worst places to end up because, remember, a lot of times courts can be years, maybe even decades behind the actual times. Let's make that clear, right? Courts are usually, unless you are rich and wealthy and have some type of high social status that is evident and that you can articulate in the courtroom, a lot of times trying to get a fair amount of money from a parent who is not the primary parent or primary caregiver presents itself as very challenging. And I say this because I don't want to take all of this out on the court or make it the court's responsibility, though I do believe that our court systems can be better in taking more responsibility if they're going to put themselves in a position of authority to be able to work out these problems between people. Now, first of all, our courts, not on a statewide level, recognizes or even understands, I think, or have been informed or educated about narcissists in the courtroom, right? Because narcissistic people suffer with a false sense of self and grandiosity and entitlement, and so they're basically living a lie, but they perform this lie really well because part of the disorder is that they believe the lie half of the time, unless something happens to challenge that lie, like a narcissistic injury, right? Sometimes this injury can propel the narcissist into a rage depending on what level that narcissist is on, meaning if it's a lower grade narcissist or a mid-level narcissist or a greater narcissist. We know that a greater, more intelligent narcissist might be able to contain his rage and manipulate the courts a lot more efficient than a lower level narcissist, because we have this a lot. But this is where you got to be careful, and this is my recommendation, and this is what I learned over time. The narcissist uses family court as an absolute stage. They actually love this. And there's a huge part of me that believes when a relationship breaks up, sours, is completely over, and the narcissist realizes that no matter how many times he or she hoovers you, or whatever the narcissist does to try to get you back, to try to pull you out of the harem and make you and get you back in a relationship or get you back where they want you to be so that they can draw and siphon fuel from you. When they realize that you've become strong enough where they can't do that, I think a lot of times what they do is they look for other triggers, and they will use your children, like not pay support. They will create all kind of obstacles, and they will use the court system's own rules, regulations, and policies to create inconveniences in the life of the main guardian, the other parent. And in a lot of cases, this is the mother. Let's be honest. This is a country where 90% of single parents are women, right? And so all the tyranny and all the different things that you have to go through with the narcissist, what's so horrible about it is that if you have a child by a narcissist, you probably most likely will end up in family court with the narcissist. And so you're dealing with the court that is 20, 30 years behind in terms of how they should be addressing situations. And the narcissist is going to use this to his or her advantage. The narcissist is going to ask for extensions, ask for another court date, claim poverty, duck and dodge. And all of these things are done because the narcissist is disordered. A lot of times we don't realize that we're dealing with the narcissist, or at least we realize that something is seriously wrong with the father or the mother of our child in the moment that we break up and ask for this person to contribute financially. This is when we realize it. This is when we realize that something is off, something is wrong with this person. A lot of times we'll be like, wow, this person is really vindictive. He's not paying me enough, or he's not helping out with the school bills, or he's not helping out with the gasoline for me to get the kids back and forth to school, or he's not helping out with food, etc. since we broke up, right? You're like, how could this be? Because the child is separate from the relationship. And the reason I really made this video is to try to bring some awareness, because a lot of times we take this personal. It really, really hurts. It hurts when you find out that the person that you actually loved at one time, or at least you thought you guys were in love, could turn around and deny your child food, or deny your child clothes, or deny your child, an adequate education, or the finances so that you could provide your child with an adequate neighborhood to live in, an adequate education, healthy meals and things like this, health insurance, right? Savings for the child. So narcissistic people do not think this way, because first of all, remember, the narcissist cannot genuinely love, right? And so at the time that the narcissist had the kid with you, the narcissist, in the narcissist's mind, this was going to be forever. Whether or not the narcissist was going to be with you, because most narcissists, especially somatic narcissists, are cheaters, and they know that they do not have what it takes to sustain a relationship, to maintain a relationship. They know this from the very beginning. This is why most narcissists have plan A and plan B going on behind your back, and you don't even know, right? Plan A, first of all, is to trick you into believing that this person is even capable of being a parent, by appealing to your ideals and pretending. Plan B is that this narcissist always has a backup, or many, many backups. Just in case plan A fails, plan B, the narcissist has somebody else lined up that they're likely already cheating with or in a relationship with. None of those plans included the child. None of those plans included you in the first place. And so the moment you end up in court, the narcissist is still trying to uphold this false idea of him or herself. The narcissist could care less if you have enough to feed the child. The narcissist is now going to use this. Remember, the narcissistic people are always only after the things that appeal to their own self-interest. It is it's mind-boggling when you really get to understand the nature of what they're doing. And so what they do in court, they come to court trying to figure out ways not only to uphold this false idea that they're a good parent and that there's something wrong with you and that there are other things going on why they might not have paid, or why they don't have enough to pay what would be considered adequate for your lifestyle or your town or where you live. They're always going to come up with reasons to give you as less as possible, because the narcissist feels entitled, and the narcissist is thinking like, who the fuck do you think you are to tell me what I need to be doing? But the narcissist can't outright say that, because The narcissist understands that he has to pretend, or at least try to look good in front of these people to uphold this false self. And so here's what you need to know. Do not ever go to court trying to prove the narcissist wrong. Allow the narcissist to do that on his own, because the narcissist is going to do, a narcissistic person is going to do and say all kinds of things to trigger your negative emotions. The narcissist is going to lie. The narcissist is going to manipulate information. The narcissist is going to withhold information. And remember what I said earlier, that we live in a court system, especially when you live in big cities, a court system that can't even necessarily keep up with the income or the private doings of another person. So the court is limited in what they can do. A lot of what you need, a lot of the evidence, a lot of the proof is going to come from you and your attorney, or if you're representing yourself, being able to have concrete evidence of, where the narcissist has not sufficiently or in a timely manner sent in payments or took care of alimony according to the orders of the court, right? You have to be very specific. You have to stick with the facts, and you cannot allow the narcissist to trigger you with his or her lies, because the narcissist is there to get fuel, supply. The narcissist will get that supply any kind of way. He or she does not care about what's happening in your life with the child. He doesn't even care about the court. All he cares about is presenting this false, fake image and upholding the idea that he or she is a good parent, that he or she is doing the best that he or she could. When you may know that this narcissist is driving a certain kind of car, that this narcissist has a second job and he's getting paid off the books, right? You may know this, right? If you hire let's say this, to go into the courthouse and yell this out and tell the judge is actually going to make you look bad, right? Because you need concrete evidence. And I know that this is stuff that can bear a lot of emotion. Oh, my phone cut off. So what I was saying was, let's just say that that the narcissist has a certain kind of car that would cost a certain amount a month, right? It's a luxury car. And so this because you've seen it, right? Or that the narcissist does some other work off the books, and the narcissist has more money than he or she is actually telling the courts. So if the narcissist goes in there and says I made this last year or whatever, and he's hiding income, it really wouldn't help to blurt that out if you don't have concrete evidence. Like, for example, you may have hired a private investigator who was able to do some deep research and provide documentation for you that shows that the narcissist or the other parent who's giving you this hard time in court actually owns this car. Because a lot of times what narcissistic people do is they get things in other people's names. They're very, very evasive. And so, when it comes to this, it just, a lot of us take a loss. And this is where it's important that we're aware that these kind of things are happening, and that we do more to have the courts acknowledge this type of manipulation and play on the system, right? Because these people play on the system. They understand that the system is slow. It's a slow grinding machine. And a lot of times it's operating from laws and policies that are outdated, that haven't even caught up with the times. And so that alone is frustrating, even when you're dealing with two people who really, really want to get to a resolution, but one or the other feels that trying to get to that resolution with one another, where there's emotions and, a sour relationship involved, they want to go to the courts and have somebody work it out fairly. But a huge part of the people that are in the courthouses are narcissistic people, and they don't care about your kids. They don't care about your bills. They never did care about those things. And this is the hard part. And once we realize that we've been dealing with people that don't care, that people that don't operate with the same, that are not driven by the same things that we're driven by, which is doing the right thing, which is having a conscience, which is caring about where your child ends up, caring about the quality of life that you can offer your child, even if you are separated. See, narcissists don't care about these things. The only time narcissists care about the quality of life of a child is if, in fact, it's something that can be seen as a way that they can get fuel, whether it's positive fuel or negative fuel. If they feel that they don't have the capacity, or they're making a choice in their disorder, or wherever they are with it, that they can't get positive fuel from the child, they'll take the negative fuel. And how they get the negative fuel is by showing up at court with a bunch of lies, a bunch of excuses, and triggering your emotions to go off in that courtroom. And so what we have to do is have emotional control, maintain like emotional intelligence, understanding that this person is, so to speak, your enemy. The narcissist is the enemy, the nemesis of the empath. The empath who wants to love, wants to care, wants to work things out, wants to have a resolution. The narcissist doesn't want that. He's the opposite of that. The narcissist wants to keep chaos going. And it's evident, because if it would be easy to just, taking care of a child is a lifelong, even when the child becomes an adult, there's, a new relationship, but it's always going to be a relationship. It just changes. But the part where we have to financially contribute to a child is short-lived. It's not something that lasts forever. And this shows you how immature narcissistic people are. They're so immature that they don't even realize that this is an investment that is a short while, but in the end, it can turn out to be a beautiful thing, right? Because what you put into the child, you hope that you would get it back. We don't always get it back, because some people have narcissistic children, right? And it's incredible how this thing goes. But a lot of times we do this because we know in the end we're also going to be old and we may need our children, and so we try to give, right? So narcissistic people, they don't think like this. So you just, it's like you just can't. They're so hell-bent on maintaining this false image, this false idea of self, and gaining narcissistic supply from every situation, that they can't even see the reality of what is happening. They can't even see how they're building and setting up their karma. Like, it's incredibly disturbing to have to be at the other end, or even anywhere in the same room as a lying, manipulative narcissist, particularly in such a vulnerable place like a U.S. courtroom. The courtroom is a vulnerable place. There's just so many ways to manipulate a case, to drag a case, to flip a case on its head, and to actually present an order that's unfair. It happens all the time, but we just cannot let it get us emotionally. So beware, prepare. Understand that you're not going to court dealing with a regular person. You're basically dealing with a demon, a deceiver, a deceptive person. And so how you handle a deceptive person is not the same way you would handle a person who is empathetic and driven by their conscience. You can't handle them that way, because if you try to handle them that way, you're going to get played, you're going to get suckered, you're going to get triggered, and you're going to look like an absolute fool in the courtroom, and the narcissist will win. So you do not give the narcissist any emotion. You stick to the facts. You wait your turn to speak, and you make sure you gather concrete evidence that you can present when it's your turn to present. Good luck. If you like this video, prove it by pressing like. And if you think someone else could benefit from this video that may end up in family court with a narcissist, share this video. Be sure to hit the bell notification so you can be notified when new episodes, when I produce new episodes. And I'm gonna get out of here. So if you guys have any questions, mail them to ask-michelle@adreamlife.com, or ask them down in the comment section. I appreciate you. We're gonna get through these narcissistic relationships together.